Hello and namaste everybody, and today we are going to discuss pillar number 2, that is historical underpinnings of Indian Constitution. We are talking about historical background of our Indian Constitution. So how our constitution has evolved over the period of time, and what was the act and regulation and provisions which we have adopted through various acts. So before going into historical part of this, we are here to understand some basic backgrounds how this evolved. So let's start. And in around 1600, Britishers came to India. Around 1600, Britishers came to India, and under a charter of Queen Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth I charters. So she gave charter to do trade in East or India. So Battle of Plassey in 1757 gave victory to company. So who gave victory to company? Battle of Plassey. And when that battle was fought, that battle was fought in 1757. So 1765 Britishers collected Diwani right. So when Britishers collected Diwani right in 1765 in a state Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, through this Diwani right they got right to collect revenue in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. 1765. After that, established capital in 1773 at Calcutta. So after this Battle of Plassey in 1757, and after this victory in 1765, collected Diwani rights in Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, and then established its capital in 1773 at Calcutta. So finally they established their capital in Calcutta. And after that, company rule 1773 to 1858 started. So regulating act 1773 and the Pitt's India Act 1784 and the Act of 1786, the Charter Act 1793 and Charter Act 1813 and Charter Act 1833 and Charter Act 1853. So how many was Act of Company Rule from 1773 to 1858 till 1858 before Battle of Plassey? That was happened in 1857. So 1773 का and Pitt's Act 1884 का and Act of 1786, 1793 Charter Act and Charter Act 1813 and Charter Act 1833 and Charter Act 1853. We are having these many charter from 1773 to 1858. So regulating, now let's move ahead in each regulating part in a brief. So regulating act of 1773, what are the features of this regulating act? First, a step by the British government to control affairs of India. First time British has control in affairs of India through this regulating act firstly. And designation Governor of Bengal as Governor General of Bengal. Earlier they used to call Governor of Bengal, now they used prefix Governor, prefix and suffixes like Governor General. Governor General. Now Governor of Bengal became Governor General of Bengal. And after that, first Governor General was Lord Warren Hastings. Who was first Governor General of Bengal? Warren Hastings. And assisted by four-member council. He was assisted by four-member council and fixed tenure 5 years. And under Governor General of Bengal, Governor of Madras, Governor of Bombay, both came into their domain. And after that, Supreme Court at Calcutta was also established under this regulating act itself. Supreme Court at Calcutta first time came into prominence under this regulating act. And CJI, Chief Justice of India, and three other judges. CJI and three other judges came in Calcutta. And no private trade allowed by number of the East India Company. So no private trade allowed by members of East India Company. So they were not supposed to have private trade. Laid foundation for central administration in India. And under this regulating act itself, laid foundation of central administration that was getting regulated by under East India Company rule. No one can have private trade. Recognized political and administrative function of the company. This recognized political and administrative function of the company as well. So political and administration also started happening from this regulating act itself. Okay, now we will move towards like another features of another act. So now we will move in Pitt's India Act 1784. So what are the features of Pitt's India Act 1784? Distinguished below like commercial function of company, political function of company, and allowed court of director to manage commercial affairs but created new body. Now court of director to manage commercial affairs. So court of director were supposed to manage commercial affairs but created new body for regulating this commercial affairs. So called board of control to manage political affairs. So this commercial affair were regulated by court of director, and board of control was supposed to manage political affairs. So for political affairs management they brought board of control, and for managing commercial affairs they brought court of director. And empowered board of control to supervise the operation and of civil and military government. The board of control were empowered to supervise operations of civil and military and revenue of British possession in India, and they were also supposed to supervise revenues of British possession in India. Wherever they were having possession of territory, they were supposed to operate all the revenues of British possession in India. So empowered board of control to supervise the operation of civil and military government and revenues of British possession in India. The act was significant of two reasons. The act was significant of two reasons. Company territory in India, company territory in India, British possession in India became the company territories in India, British position in India, and British government given supreme control over the company's affair. Now, British government given supreme control over the company's affair. Who was given supreme control of company's affair? British government was regulating these all company's affairs. So, and its administration in India. The act resulted in the introduction of permanent settlement. This is very important, crucial happening of this Pitt's India Act 1784. The act resulted in the introduction of permanent settlement, judicial code, administrative system, and police system. So now we are done with Pitt's India Act 1784. Now we will move ahead towards the Company Rule 1773 to 1858. Like the Act of 1786, Governor General, supreme power. What supreme power? Veto power awarded to Governor General. In this Act of 1786, Governor General was awarded veto power and empowered his decision on any matters. Empowered his decision on any matter. He can take any decision on any matters. He was empowered under this 1786 Act. And Lord Cornwallis was appointed as Governor General and Commander in Chief. So Lord Cornwallis was appointed as Governor General and Commander in Chief. So first time Governor General was made and appointed as Commander in Chief. So this new appointment came to Governor General like Commander in Chiefs. The East India Company got further 20 years charters. So now we will come to Charter Act 1793. Charter Act 1793, the East India got further 20 years charter. Now we are talking about another Charter Act 1793. Under this East India Company got further 20 years charter to do right to do trade, and salary of members of the board of control to come from Fund of India. And from where salary will be given to the board of control? From Fund of India. How much they were earning? Can you imagine it from this? To become Governor General or member of Governor legislation, they must remain 12 years in India. If they wanted to become Governor General or member of Governor of legislation, they must have spent 12 years in India. So if you don't know about India, its political affairs and administrative function, how you will be handling such a prestigious Governor General portfolio. So they were supposed to spend and must remain in India for 12 years. Then they will be given this Governor General power or portfolio. Now we will come to Charter Act 1813. We are going towards another charter, that is 1813. So 1813, the Charter Act 1813, the East India Company monopoly India. Now its India Company's monopoly were India, but can trade with tea and trade in China continue. Only they can have trade with tea and trade with China continue. So tea and trade with in China were continued. Other monopoly were ended under this 1830 Act of Charter. So this question was asked from UPSC as well. Please be very sincere, and wherever I am discussing, this is very important topic, and UPSC has been asking question from this Charter Act, and last year they have asked as well. and Christianity was spread. So Christian missionary came into India under this Charter Act 1830. Now we will move towards the Charter Act 1833, a final step towards centralization in British India. Now final centralization took place under Charter Act 1833. And what was the feature of this Charter Act 1833? Made Governor General of Bengal and Governor General of India. Governor General of Bengal now became Governor General of India. And first Governor General of India, Lord William Bentinck. Who was the first Governor General of India? Lord William Bentinck. Lord William Bentinck was first Governor General of India. And power, civil and military power, and exclusive legislative power for entire British India. He was given exclusive legislative power of entire British India. Now final step of centralization was completed under this 1833. Now we will see Indian activities of East India Company as a commercial body. Now this was no more only commercial body. East India Company was no more only commercial body and became purely administrative body. Earlier their main purpose was to trade in India. They came with their commercial and mercantilism purpose. But now they became purely administrative, an administrative body set up in India, and introduced open system competition for selection of civil servant. Under this Charter Act 1833, selection of civil servant started through system of competition, but it was not implemented. Introduced open system competition for selection of civil servant, but it was not implemented. Means this was not brought into execution or implementation. That remain in theoretical or documents. Now we will move ahead next to the Charter Act 1853. So the last charter from 1793 to 1853. Now what are the features? 1854 under Macaulay Committee. So 1854 under Macaulay Committee, first time separated function of legislative, executive of Governor General Council. So separated the function of legislative, executive of Governor General Council. Means no more were same function. Now they have separate function of legislative and executive of Governor General Council. So first time this happened under Macaulay Committee in 1854. Now introduced first time local representation in the Indian Legislative Council. Now in Legislative Council local representation also took place. So under Charter Act 1853, first time introduced local representation in the Indian Legislative Council. Out of 6, 4 members were appointed by local provincial government of Mumbai, Madras, Bengal and Agra. So out of this 4 legislative council, 4 members were appointed by local provincial government of Bombay, Madras, Bengal and Agra. Now we are done with Charter Act 1853. Now we will move ahead towards the Government of India Act 1858. So what are the features of this Government of India Act 1858? Features: changes designation of Governor General of India to Viceroy of India. Now no more General Government of India existed. Now they became converted into Viceroy of India. Now they started calling Viceroy of India concept. So direct representative of British Crown in India. Viceroy of India, direct representative of British Crown in India. They were having direct representation of British Crown in India. And first Viceroy were Lord Canning. Who was the first Viceroy of India? Lord Canning. Lord Canning. And indeed double government system. Under this government Act 1858 ended double government system by abolishing Board of Control and Court of Director. So double government ended by abolishing Board of Control and Court of Director. Board of Control was handling what? Political affairs, and Court of Director were handling commercial affairs. Now we will see कि created new office. They created new office, Secretary of State for India, and vested complete authority in him. Now Secretary of State for India came into prominence under this 1858 Act. Secretary of State was created and complete authority was given. So control over Indian administration, establishment of 15 members, Council of India to assist Secretary of State for India, also Chairman of Council. So establishment of 15 members and Council of India to assist Secretary of State for India and also Chairman of Council. So largely confined administrative machinery by which India government to be supervised and controlled in England. So largely confined administration machinery by which Indian government to be supervised and controlled in England, termed as Act for Government for India and termed as an Act for Government of India. So we observed so many features under this Act. Now we will come into the Crown Rule 1858 and to 1947. So now we will talk the Indian Council Act 1861. The Indian Council Act 1861, and the important landmark in constitutional and political history took place under this Indian Council Act 1861. And what are the features of this Indian Council Act 1861? Made beginning of representative institution. Now representative institution came into prominence under this Council Act 1861 by associating Indians with the law-making process. They now started associating Indians into law-making process. Thus provided the Viceroy should nominate some Indians as non-official member of his expanded council. And Indians membership used to called as non-official members. So Indians were taken as a non-official members of his expanded council. So initiated process of decentralization. Now from this Indian Council Act 1861, decentralization started, means delegation of authority power started, means they started delegating and transferring. So here instead of centralization, decentralization started under this 1861 by restoring legislative power to Bombay Presidency and Madras Presidency. Now Bombay Presidency and Madras Presidency were allowed to legislate to some extent, and reversed centralizing tendency started from 1773. Reversed centralizing tendency started from 1773. It established new legislative council of Bengal, Northwest Frontier Province, Northwest Frontier Province, and Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province or the Northwest Frontier Province, Bengal, and Punjab. New Legislative Council started and established. Empowered Viceroy to issue ordinances without concurrence of Legislative Council. Empowered Viceroy to issue ordinances without concurrence of Legislative Council. They were not supposed to have consent of the Legislative Council. They were having their own power to make ordinances without consent of Legislative Council. During emergency, life of ordinance was 6. So, what was the life of this ordinance during emergency? That was for 6 months. So, during emergency, life of ordinance was 6 months. Now we will move ahead towards the Indian Council Act 1892. Increased number of legislative council, gave them power of discussing the budget. Means 1892, Indian Council Act 1892 gave power of discussing the budget, addressing question to the executive, An act made a limited and indirect provision on for use of election in filling up some of the non-official seats both in central and provincial legislative council. Means official and non-official members were elected. So election concept started from here for both non-official seats both in central and non-official seats from central and provincial legislative council, both limited and indirect provision for use of election started. Means we can say that made a limited indirect provision on for use of election in filling up some of the non-official seats both in central and provincial legislative council. Enlarged non-official members in the legislative council. So the Indian Council Act 1892 enlarged non-official members in the legislative council. Let's move ahead in Indian Council Act 1909, also known as Minto Reform. Indian Council Act 909, also known as Minto Reform. What are the features of this Indian Council Act 1909? Increased size of Legislative Council from 16 to 60. From 16 to 60, both central and provincial. And what are the features of this Indian Council Act 1909? Provided for the association of Indians with the Executive Council of Viceroy and Governor. Provided for the association of Indians with the Executive Council of Viceroy and Governors. Satyendra Prasad Sinha became first appointed law member. So who became first appointed law member? Satyendra Sinha was first appointed law member and gave separate electorate to Muslim. That was also worst part of this Indian Council Act. Means separate electorate to Muslim. Means seats of communalism started, we can say from here. And introduced system of communal representation. Lord Minto, father of communal electorate. Also Lord Minto, also called as father of communal electorate. Beginning of non-official resolution in council. So beginning of non-official resolution in council also took place. After that, now we will move towards the Government of India Act 1919. What are the features of this Act 1919? Relaxed central control over provinces by democrating and separating central and provincial subject. By democrating and separating central and provincial subject. Divided provincial subject transferred and reserved subject. Divided provincial subject into transferred and reserved subject. Dual scheme of governance diarchy came into prominence. First time bicameralism, direct election introduced. First time bicameralism also came and direct election introduced also as well. 3 out of 6 members of Viceroy Executive Council were to be Indians. Means 3 out of 6 Executive Council were to be Indians. After that, establishment of Public Service Commission set up in 1926. So, Government of India Act 1919 brought and established Public Service Commission 1926, set up in 1926, and granted franchise based on limited property, tax and education. These were parameters for exercising franchise right. There was no equality for voting system. Now extended principle of communal representation. By separate electorate for the Sikhs and Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. So, who was like Sikhs, Europeans, Christians, Anglo-Indians, and separated provincial budget from central budget. Means one major events also took place, that separated provincial budget from central budget. No more remain combined central and provincial budget. Now they were separated under this Government of India Act 1990. Now what are the significance of Government of India Act 1990? The Simon Commission of 1927 came out of the Rowlatt Act. And steps towards complete responsible government. Means steps towards complete responsible government made. Division of subject. The Viceroy retained control of central government. Role of mostly elected bicameral legislative remained advisory. Means elected bicameral legislative remained advisory, not mandatory. Towards gradual development of self-government. They were moving towards gradual development as well, self-government. Called Montagu-Chelmsford Reform. This Government of India Act 1919 called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reform. So, Montagu-Chelmsford Reform. Now we will move in another act, the Government of India Act 1935, which is also called as Mini Constitution of India, because major provision of our constitution we have borrowed from this Act 1935. What are the features of the Government of India Act 1935? Establishment of the All Indian Federation, provinces and princely state. Means All Indian Federation came, and powers between the center and unit in 3 lists. Federal list 59 items, provincial list 54 items, and concurrently 36 items. Now, abolished diarchy in provinces, introduced provincial autonomy its place. So, diarchy in provinces came to end, which was brought in 1919 wala Government of India Act. Now here diarchy is getting ended. So now introduced to provincial autonomy in its place. Now provincial autonomy introduced. Features. What are the features of 1935 Act? Provided for adoption of diarchy at the center. Diarchy at the center. Bicameralism in 6 out of 11 provinces. Many restrictions were placed. Separate electorate for scheduled caste, women and labor. Extended franchises, more than 10% of the total population got voting right. Now more than 10% of total voting got right. 10% of the total population got voting right. Establishment of the RBI, that is the very biggest event, I would say. We have taken provisions from here. RBI to control currency and credits. Federal Public Service Commission also came through this act. Provincial public provincial provincial public service commission also came through this. Joint public service commission also came through this. Federal court set up in 1937 towards completely responsible government. Towards completely responsible government. So federal court set up in 1937 and we are moving towards completely responsible government. Now we will come into Indian Independence Act 1947. What are the causes of this? World War II took place and weakened British economically. In this World War II, around 1945, this made Britishers very weak and dual a scheme of governance. Cripps proposal 1942, Quit India movement in 1942, launched by Gandhiji. Revolt, Indian Navy, Indian Army and against Britishers took place widely due to anger. Act ended British rule in India. And what are the features of this Indian Independence Act 1947? Act ended British rule in India. Division of British India into Pakistan and India. Governor General for each dominion created separately, like for Pakistan and India. Termination of British sovereignty over princely state. No more Britishers having power on this princely state. So now termination took place of this sovereignty. Division of Punjab and Bengal. Division of Punjab and Bengal also took place. Abolished the office of Secretary of State. Removed the title Emperor of India from the title of British monarch. No more Emperor of India kind of title was. First, now we will move towards first cabinet portfolio. Who were members of this first cabinet and portfolio? जवाहरलाल नेहरू, सरदार पटेल, डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद, मौलाना अब्दुल कलाम आज़ाद, आर के शंखमुखन शेट्टी, बी आर अम्बेडकर, जगजीवन राम एंड सरदार वल्लभ देव सिंह, राजकुमारी अमृत कौर, सी एच भावा एंड रफ़ी अहमद किडवई, डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी, वी एन गाडगी. Now portfolio. We will go towards portfolio. PM External Affairs Commonwealth. So relation and scientific research. So we will see कि जवाहरलाल नेहरू वेयर हैंडलिंग पीएम का पोर्टफोलियो, एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स का पोर्टफोलियो एंड कॉमनवेल्थ का रिलेशन एंड साइंटिफिक रिसर्च पोर्टफोलियो वेयर हैंडल्ड बाय जवाहरलाल नेहरू एंड होम मिनिस्टर इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग स्टेट्स पोर्टफोलियो वेयर हैंडल्ड बाय डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद and Dr. Rajendra Prasad handled food and agriculture portfolio and Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad handled education portfolio and R.K. Sanmukham Chetty handled finance department. B.R. Ambedkar handled portfolio law ministry. Jagjeevan handled labor and Sardar Baldev Singh handled defense and Rajkumari Amrit Kaur handled health. C.H. Bhava handled commerce portfolio. Rafi Ahmad Kidwai handled communication. Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee handled industry and supply, and B. N. Gadgi handled works, mines, and powers portfolio. So we understood various charter act, regulating act under this historical background of constitution, how constitution evolved over the period of time during the struggling period of fi- freedom. So how the all provisions came into existence and how the all act evolved over the period of time, we tried to understand, we tried to make sense out of this, and I hope you have enjoyed fullest this session, and thank you very much for having this much patience.